Hi everyone, this is Chandra with Intuitive Crafting and welcome. So glad to see you today. One of the things that I've been thinking about the past few days, I'm just starting out this channel, thinking of different things to discuss with you, to talk about, to get you on your way to, an enjoyable crafting experience. Whether you are, a beginner, a hobbyist, a designer, or an entrepreneur, it's really important to set goals. You want to set goals to just make the whole experience more fulfilling, more enjoyable. Often when we start out anything, we can be, super ambitious, and it doesn't even necessarily, that's just not necessarily unique to knitting and crocheting, which is, what I'm talking about. It can be anything. We see the possibilities and we just want to go for it. The problem with that is that you can also get frustrated just as easily. So one of the benefits of setting goals is to pace yourself and ensure your success, and help you grow in the process. So I want to talk to you about 3 facets of setting goals. Now, the first one is setting a budget. Now, my personal experience has been, especially in the beginning, yarn is so pretty. There's so much you can do with it. It feels nice to touch. And if you have a wild imagination like me, you start thinking about all the wonderful things you can make, and, just go crazy with it. So if you set a budget for yourself before you even go into a store, you can save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money. Now, let's talk about being a beginner or a novice. Your best bet is to spend as little money as possible. And the way you do that is to take a look at the wide variety of budget yarns there are out there. Now, when I say budget, I don't mean that they are necessarily a poorer quality. What they are is easier to work with. It's less of an investment money-wise, and you still can create some beautiful things. So there are several places to buy yarn in yarn shops, online, and in large craft stores. And if you can, your best bet is to go into a large craft store. You'll find a wide variety of yarns that aren't expensive but can create beautiful results. Now, I choose the large craft store because the prices tend to be lower. And also, if you sign up for, coupons through email, you can get some great deals. Smaller boutique yarn shops tend to be more expensive, and the yarns tend to be more, you'll find different fibers, and cotton, wool, cashmere, mohair, and you'll find higher prices. And I think until you're no longer a beginner, it's best to stick to your more basic acrylics and cottons that you can find in a large craft store. So that's one way. Establish a budget. Say you may want to spend $20, $25 on some yarn. You can find some great deals in a large craft store. Otherwise, you might come out having spent, $100 or even hundreds of dollars with yarn that you may never even do anything with. So that's just something to consider. The second thing is to know thyself. How much time do you really have to work on things? Are you just starting out and you're learning, or are you a professional, a designer, an entrepreneur? If you are a beginner, you may be doing this in your spare time while you're watching television, while you're on the train, while you are, sitting in front of the fireplace. So you may or may not have all day, and you want to get the best bang for your buck. So know what your limits are. If you're not going to, try to make a living out of it or make money, and you're just doing it for fun, make that decision. And that decision can always change, but make that decision. Try to have fun, because if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to keep it up anyway. And if you've purchased yarn, then you will have wasted lots of money. So know yourself. Know what you want to do. Know what your end goal is. If you just want to make a baby blanket, hit it and quit it, that's fine. And that goes into my last point about being realistic. One thing that people don't really talk about a lot is how labor intensive knitting and crocheting is. As a professional, if I could knit 24 hours a day, or if I could crochet 24 hours a day, or even 8 hours a day, let's be realistic, 8 hours a day, I would do nothing else, because that's how much I enjoy it. But my back doesn't enjoy it after a while, even after a few minutes, depending on how rested I am, or what I've been doing, other things I've been doing in the day. I need a break. It's best to take a break anyway. Even if you are in a position, physically, where you can knit or crochet for hours and hours, it's best to take a break, at least, once an hour. So, be realistic. If you're on a time schedule, you kind of learn as you go. One of the things I learned is to stop telling my customers, when something's going to be finished, especially if I haven't started, because there are so many things that come up. I can create something and it can be, too big in one place or too small in another place, or it can look off or just not feel right to me. And a lot of times I'll have to start over. And that can prolong the time it takes to complete a project. So always be realistic with yourself. If you have, a baby shower coming up, I remember I had to make a blanket for a baby shower, and I thought I had all the time in the world, and I looked up and the baby shower was just a few days ahead of me. So I ended up, having to work on this thing day and night. And I was so mad at myself when, if I had been more realistic in the beginning, I could have, been finished with it a couple of days before the baby shower, and I could have, sat back and admired my work before, knitting all night and then rushing off to the baby shower exhausted. So be realistic in whatever you do, and you'll be a lot happier. So 3 things, set a budget, make sure you don't waste your money. It's very important. You may want it for future projects. Know yourself, know thyself, know what your capabilities are, what your limitations are, and where you want to go with your craft. And also be realistic in terms of time, schedules, expectations that you have of yourself or other people have of what you are, preparing for them, if that's the case. So that's my 3 cents, and thanks for stopping by.